The moment the alien princess pointed at me, every weapon in the chamber charged at once, and I realized humanity's fate might hinge on a single impossible choice. No one had told me this was how first contact would end. I stood alone on the obsidian floor of the celestial conclave, Earth's envoy reduced to a silent witness while 1,000 alien nobles watched from their floating thrones. Above us, the ceiling shimmered like a living galaxy, stars drifting as if listening. The air smelled faintly of ozone and cold metal. My heart hammered so loudly I was sure they could hear it. Then Princess Saren of the Aurelian Empire stepped forward. She was taller than any human woman, her skin luminescent silver blue, her eyes like fractured suns. Regal. Terrifying. Beautiful in a way that felt dangerous to comprehend. When she raised her hand, the chamber fell into absolute silence. "Mother," she said, her voice echoing through translators embedded in the walls, "I choose him." Every gaze snapped to me. And that was only the beginning. I wasn't supposed to be here. I was a systems engineer, not a diplomat. Earth had sent me to repair a damaged comms array on the Aurelian space station after months of tense but peaceful contact. Fix the machine. Say nothing. Come home alive. That was the plan. Plans never survive alien royalty. The Aurelian Empire ruled half the known galaxy through rigid logic and ancient bloodlines. Emotions were considered weaknesses. Love was a biological inconvenience, engineered out of their ruling caste generations ago. Royal unions were political algorithms, optimized for stability. Humans, on the other hand, were classified as volatile primitives. Useful. Entertaining. Disposable. So when Princess Saren claimed a human as her future husband in front of the Empress herself, it wasn't just scandal. It was heresy. Gasps rippled through the chamber, a chorus of chittering mandibles and harmonic tones. Royal guards tightened their formation. I felt the heat of targeting fields brush my skin. The Empress rose slowly. Empress Veilora was ancient, her form supported by hovering rings of light, her presence crushing. She looked at her daughter not with anger, but calculation. "Explain," she commanded. Saren didn't look at her mother. She looked at me. That terrified me more than the weapons. Because I remembered the first time we met. It had been in a maintenance corridor, far from cameras and courts. I'd been elbow-deep in shattered conduits when the lights dimmed and a shadow fell over me. I turned, expecting security. Instead, I found her watching me with open curiosity. "You repair what others discard," she had said then. "Why?" I'd laughed nervously. "Because broken things still matter." She had gone very still. What I didn't know, what none of us knew, was that moment would change everything. Back in the conclave, Saren finally spoke. "I have studied humanity," she said calmly. "Their wars, their art, their grief, their love. They feel deeply yet still choose compassion. This human embodies that paradox." Murmurs rose again. Dangerous ones. "You would bind our empire to an emotional species?" Veilora asked. "To weakness." Saren turned at last. "To strength." I wanted to protest. To scream that this was a mistake. That I hadn't agreed to any of this. But my throat locked. Because I was starting to understand something terrifying. Saren wasn't choosing me for politics. She was choosing me for rebellion. That realization hit harder when the Council of Genetic Purity revealed the truth. Aurelian royalty, they announced, was dying. Their engineered perfection had stripped them of adaptability. Their population was declining, their future mathematically terminal. The Empire needed something new. Human emotional variance. Hybridization. The plan had been to experiment quietly. Harvest genetic material. No consent. No connection. Saren had found a flaw. And she had decided to weaponize it. But that was only the beginning. I was placed under royal containment, guarded but treated with unsettling courtesy. Saren visited me often, speaking of stars and philosophy, asking me about Earth sunsets and why humans wrote sad songs. I tried to keep distance, because I was human, and I was falling for her. Which made the betrayal hurt all the more when I discovered the kill switch embedded in my spine. Hidden. Silent. Installed during my medical evaluation. If the Empress commanded it, I would die instantly. That was the moment I understood my role. Leverage. I confronted Saren in the starlit garden of the palace dome. My voice shook as I demanded the truth. She didn't deny it. "I fought against it," she whispered. "This was the only way to keep you alive long enough to change her mind." "By chaining me?" I asked. Her eyes dimmed. "By trusting you." None of us were prepared for the truth that followed. The mid-conclave ceremony wasn't a wedding. It was a trial. If Saren could prove that her bond with me produced genuine emotional resonance, something Orleans no longer experienced, the Empire would be forced to reconsider its doctrine. If she failed, I would be executed as a failed asset. And she would be stripped of her title. Or worse. The test began with memory sharing. They connected our minds. Every fear I'd buried flooded the link. My father's death, Earth's polluted skies, the loneliness of space. I felt Saren's shock as emotion tore through her disciplined psyche. Then I felt her pain. A lifetime of isolation. Of being a symbol instead of a daughter. Of wanting something forbidden. The chamber shook as energy spiked beyond projections. Alarm screamed. "This is unstable," the council shouted. But the Empress watched in silence. When the link severed, Saren collapsed into my arms. For the first time in Aurelian history, a royal heir was crying. That changed everything. The Empire fractured overnight. Traditionalists called for genocide. Reformists rallied behind Saren. Fleets mobilized. Civil war loomed. And at the center of it all, a human who just wanted to go home. Veilora summoned me privately. "You have done what no weapon could," she said. "You have made my daughter dangerous." I expected death. Instead, she deactivated the kill switch. "Choose," she said. "Leave and this ends. Stay and you bind yourself to a war that may consume you." I thought of Earth. Of Saren. Of broken things that still mattered. I stayed. The final confrontation wasn't fought with fleets. It was fought with a declaration. Before the assembled Empire, Saren took my hand and spoke words no Aurelian had ever said. "I love him." The word echoed like a supernova. Silence followed. Then slowly the Empress knelt. "Then rule," Veilora said. "And teach us what we forgot." Years later, when humans and Orleans stood together under shared skies, they would call it the day love saved an empire. But I would remember it differently. As the day an alien princess chose a human. And changed the galaxy forever.